we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited because I have right here in the studio, he has his own radio show, and he is also the producer of one of the top events here in Houston. Please help me welcome Mr. Kris Hart of Houston Whiskey Social. Kris, thank you for spending some time with me today. But, you know, you and I actually go way back.
Way back.
To high school?
17 years? 15
17
years? Something
years.
Like that. I've known you quite some time, back when you were bossing me around in ROTC.
So for our viewers, we just dropped a bombshell that you may not have ever found out until Kris actually just revealed it for the whole world to know, is that in high school, I was in ROTC, junior ROTC. And I got to tell you, when I tell that story to folks that I meet along the way, that I've met along the way, I mean, their jaw just kind of like, what? Like you, Pierre, the guy that's like crazy creative and loud and stuff, were in a military style type program. Yeah. But I got to say, we not only had great mentors within that program, Major Videna, Sergeant Glennon, but also just a great infrastructure that I think we needed in our high school, days. And
discipline's important.
Discipline is important, and I think a lot of the things that we were able to learn, we carried over. At least I know I did.
Sure.
I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I learned. I don't have my keys on me, but I still have my push-up key ring that you got for doing 50 push-ups at lunch. I mean, I still to this day, there's a lot of that youth.
The scariest words to come out of somebody in leadership was the word drop. Yeah. Right? And so and I remember we used to kind of get tricked sometimes by they would ask us a very casual question and we couldn't say because you don't answer by saying yeah. Right. In the military, you say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And so
it was bait.
I would get it was bait and be like, hey Pierre, how's it going? You having a good day? Yeah. Drop. Oh man, here we go. And then if I remember correctly, it was like 10 push-ups if you were a freshman, 20 push-ups sophomore, 30 push-ups. Yeah. And then if you were a certain rank, there was an additional 10, and
they really
you could end up being like doing 50 push-ups for saying yeah.
It's a long time ago, man.
So Kris, you've 17 years. What has Kris been up to the last 17 years? Give me in a bit of a nutshell.
I host a show on ESPN 97.5 called Whiskey Neat. You can watch it. It airs on Saturdays. Of course, we release all the episodes online on Fridays, so you can check everything out on mywhiskeyneat.com. People say, why My Whiskey Neat? It's because I like my whiskey neat.
Okay. And so just to clarify, Whiskey Neat is the
radio
whiskey
show.
It's a radio show, but for the actual whiskey itself,
sure.
The drink, it is just with no ice.
So Whiskey Neat is just straight, straight
right.
From the bottle, no water, no ice, just neat.
On the rocks would make it
an ice cube.
Okay, gotcha. So Whiskey Neat is how you like your whiskey.
Yeah.
And that drove you to actually produce an event around.
So
this.
it's the other way around. So no, you're right. Actually, me and my wife got into whiskey together. We started producing the Houston Whiskey Social, which is now in its 4th year.
Okay.
So we've done about a half dozen events. We are now up to that. I think we're the largest whiskey event in the state. We do 400 plus whiskeys. We'll have a couple of wines, a couple of other spirits. Because I like to come to these things with my wife, and she may not always want a whiskey, so we'll throw a wine in there or two. But it's mostly whiskeys.
So there is wine and other spirits.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of rums there, a couple of cognacs there.
Okay.
But the main focus is going to be the all-loving brown water spirits. So we get about 1,000 people last year, so we're expecting close to 1,200 this year. It's at the Citadel in Houston. You can get tickets for that at Eventbrite or HoustonWhiskeySocial.com. That's whiskey with an E. And
Citadel Houston. Tell me about the venue.
Yeah, so it looks like a castle. It's this gorgeous venue. It's like 18,000 square feet. It's a massive venue. We're going to pack it from whiskeys from all over the world.
Wow.
And you just come for the evening. It's next Saturday. It's 10 days away. And you can get those tickets online. And it's in fact, I think I was talking to your social media person.
Yeah, Ashley.
We have like I'd say probably less than 10 VIP tickets left. Everything else is going to be GA.
Wow.
But it's just I can't legally say it's unlimited booze, but there is no preset amount. It's you can come enjoy yourself, bring a wife, bring a friend. It's about being social. It's about sitting together and having a few drinks together. And
Sure. What if I understand correctly, there's also a nonprofit
That's correct.
Piece to this
tied,
event.
It's tied to the Warriors for Freedom Foundation. It's a nonprofit veterans charity that basically helps soldiers acclimate back into society in a lot of social settings. And if that's not an indication, or if that doesn't tie in perfectly,
of course.
What goes better with veterans than cigars and whiskey? So,
yeah.
This year we bought our own private barrel of Four Roses. We'll be giving away most of it at the event. And we've also got our own private cigar blend that we did with Room 101. So we partnered with Stogies in Houston, the Warriors for Freedom, and we just try to get as many people out there together just to have a few drinks and a portion of all ticket sales. And you can donate directly to the charity at the event as well. So it's doing it.
Warriors for
now.
Freedom Foundation.
Yep.
And the event takes place next Saturday. So we're 10 days away. 10 days away for our viewers from being able to experience one of the top events. I see on social media and feedback from folks that attend the event, and it's so nice to be able to see. I think when people have a great experience, that they say, "Man, I don't know when this event's going to happen next year, but I'm in."
I reached out to you the second year. We talked a little bit. I got some of your feedback, some input from Pierre, and it's grown. It's doubled in size since then. It's been very positively received, and it's a bit, you get prideful about it.
Hopefully our viewers can catch that endorsement right there, huh? You talked to me a couple of years ago, and the event has doubled in size. We're not going to take all the credit for it, but Kris, for the folks that say, well, I don't really know much about whiskey, but I think I'd be interested to learn more. Does it make sense to buy a ticket and attend the event, or to maybe take some classes or go and have some whiskey and then show up to the event? What does that look like?
That's what this event is about. It's educational in nature.
Okay.
So you can come to the event. It's really slated to be appealing to all experience levels. If you're new to whiskey, if you don't know much about whiskey, we teach you how to drink whiskey properly. We teach you how to experience, to taste, to learn. The event is literally for anyone at any level of experience. So it's something I think lots of new faces show up every year.
Good.
And we get a lot of repeat customers.
And hopefully you guys are making plans to attend the event. If you have not made plans to attend the event, but you're a whiskey lover, what kind of whiskey do you like to drink? And let us know down in the comment section on the live feed. We are coming to you live, and we're talking here with Kris Hart of the Houston Whiskey Social, an event that is coming back in its 4th year, has grown year after year, and takes place. We're 10 days away, and we have a pair of tickets that we want to give away on the show live to somebody that can tell us their favorite whiskey. And what we're going to do is, when we say go, we're going to take the 5th person to comment on the Facebook Live feed and tell us what their favorite brand of whiskey is. And then, but we're not saying go yet. So just stick around and make sure and share it. Tell your friends to make sure and go to HoustonWhiskeySocial.com to get their tickets. Tickets are running out, but there's a few VIP tickets available. And then there's also general admission tickets available. How much are the tickets, Kris?
So tickets start off, GA is $80.
Okay.
And that includes food for the night and all the booze you can legally and safely drink.
There you go. And then VIP tickets, which there's very few left.
Very few left. Those are $135.
Okay.
And you get you in an hour earlier. And access to a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, so we not only do you get in an hour earlier, but we also went back because of the type of the event and the location we're doing at. We were able to go back and find stuff that's no longer produced anymore, stuff that's not made anymore. Like, we're going to have a bottle of I.W. Harper bourbon from 1965 at the event. So it's not something you can taste at any bar in the world or any bar in Texas. Our laws are very blue here.
Sure.
But we've been able to track down a bunch of really, really old bottles and let people taste it. So we'll have first access to that goes to a VIP.
Right.
And then whatever makes it to the GA
to
hour.
the GA,
yeah.
which may not be a whole lot.
May not be a whole lot, but there's still going to be a tremendous amount of whiskey in the house. So
sure.
If you want to come and learn, you're not too sure, go for GA. If you want to, get to explore some old stuff, go to VIP. But we also send home a goodie bag, which I can't legally advertise what's in the goodie bag. because of THC, but there's a lot of delicious liquids in that bag.
You want to make sure and stay tuned. And Ashley, I want to ask you, do we have any folks that are tuning in that are telling us their favorite flavors of whiskey yet?
You have people tuning in, but they're not commenting.
That's because they want to wait to be the fifth.
They want to wait. Oh, okay. They want to wait so they can be the fifth. Okay. Before we actually say the word go so that you can comment, I want to ask you, Kris, real quick. The category, or whiskey is a category.
Sure.
Right?
It's an overall umbrella.
Think of me as like the guy that I'm a vodka drinker myself, so I don't really do whiskey. But think of me as a person that doesn't know anything and walk me through a 30-second lesson on the basics of whiskey.
Sure. So whiskey is an overall category like cars are. Right.
Okay.
Then you have specific cars. Right?
Okay.
So whiskey's overall category. Then you have bourbon.
Bourbon.
Then you've got straight bourbon. Then you've got bottled and bond first, then straight bourbon. So there's just more restrictions for each level.
Okay.
And so, for instance, bourbon can be aged any amount of time and doesn't have a minimum age requirement in a new barrel.
Okay.
It can be made anywhere in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. That's it. In Washington. And then for straight bourbon, it's got to be at least 2 years old. So there's just a little bit more restrictions the more defined you get. So straight bourbon's at least 2 years old. Bottled and bond is at least 4 years old.
Okay.
There's just different categories. So.
And then what about Scotch? Is that
Scotch is 3 years in the barrel, 3 years in 1 day, and it's got to be made in Scotland.
Scotland.
Yep, 100%. Well, there's a lot of regulations. I'm giving you
the
short.
Sure,
the
very
short,
right,
yeah.
Absolutely. So you just talked about those 3 categories, and I think we are ready to give away a pair of tickets to the Houston Whiskey Social. This is a pair of tickets valued at $80, and when I
Actually, no, they're VIP.
What?
Yeah, I'm throwing.
You're giving away a pair of VIP tickets? Two?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So here's what's going to happen. The 5th person to comment after I say the word go is going to get a pair of those VIP tickets. I mean, these are tickets that I'm not even getting, guys. So we're doing it big right here for you on Air with Pierre. And now we are going to say go. And while we've officially said go, Ashley is looking to see who the 5th person is so that we can announce it. And Kris, when you start planning for this event, is it a year-round thing?
It's gotten smaller amount of time before. As we've streamlined some things.
Right.
This last one, we got about 8 months planning, so it wasn't too bad.
And then my final question is outside of the actual event, do you do anything else year-round?
Oh, absolutely. So you mean like event-wise?
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I do a lot of things. I run the Houston Bourbon Society with some colleagues, Randy Svetlik and Matt Phillips. And what we do is we'll get together at meetups. In fact, we're having a meetup tonight at Rosewater in Clear Lake.
Okay.
We get people together. We give them a reason for that camaraderie. We get them, have a few drinks together. We also do tasting events year round, but they're a bit, sporadic.
And then are those posted on your social media accounts as well?
You can get that at Houston Whiskey Social Facebook page. And, of course, if you follow me or the Houston Bourbon Society, then you'll be able to get pretty much updated daily.
I actually remembered one more question before we announce our winner. Do we have a winner yet, by the way, Ashley?
Well, it's all of your staff comments.
Well, staff not allowed.
Yes, that's true. Peter and Hillary.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to continue letting you comment on your favorite whiskey so we can give away a pair of tickets to that great event. The question that I want to make sure that I ask while you're here is the character that you've developed.
Whiskey Pete.
Whiskey Pete. So tell me about how Whiskey Pete came about.
So he actually was the genesis of everything, right? So before the Whiskey Social, before everything everything else we've done, Whiskey Pete started it all. People have been taking photos of their food for years, right?
Okay.
And in the whiskey world, it happens. People take pictures of their bottles, and what are you drinking today? I'm drinking this, and I just thought it was a bit. Not narcissistic, but a bit, everyone's always just taking. So I thought it would be more fun to have a cartoon character. He's hand drawn. He's not a Bitmoji or anything.
Who drew him?
So he's my creation, but
okay.
Tom, my friend of mine, he's an author and an illustrator, Thomas Park, brought him to life. And he does most of the photos. I'll do a few as well, but I'm not great at Photoshop.
Sure.
He's a genius, Thomas Park, and he he ends up being the host of the show Whiskey Neat. He's our logo. And
Right.
so basically most of my photos on Instagram are usually photos of Whiskey Pete enjoying a whiskey or something. So it's
Instagram is such a great visual type of a platform, and I think you do a really good job of integrating the Whiskey Pete character into all of your Instagram stuff.
It created a bit of a following before I realized, what it was. I mean, I think we're up to 5,600 followers isn't like super
Sure.
crazy, but
Right.
it was pretty surprising that anyone would give two craps about a
Well,
little
and it's
cartoon
also
character.
the engagement piece, right? Like if you have, even if it's 5,600, but out of those 5,600, you have a 50-60% engagement of the people that are, because it's not like fake followers or people
Sure.
that aren't really going to engage with your content. I think that's
You
kind
get
of
a lot of
where the
photos
gold
stolen
is.
a lot too, yeah.
Yeah,
So
you do.
that's a little bit of a boost of confidence when you see a lot of other whiskey pages kind of borrow my photos, So it's been fun. It's not about building the following. It's just about the spirit. I mean, it's so much fun. When you, like I mentioned, the bottle from 1965, right? So that's a piece of history, and it's a little time capsule.
Sure.
Laporte. I think you were at the time capsule. Laporte did a time capsule a few years back.
Yes.
And the whole idea is to open this time capsule 50 years from now.
Right.
That's what a bottle of whiskey is. I know that seems kind of romantic, but
Right.
the idea that you can have something that's no longer made anymore from 65 is 54 years ago? Right. So you get to crack open a bottle that's been sealed for 54 years. Do you know Jonathan Sands, Winston Churchill's great-grandson?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's done a lot in the area too. He unfortunately just passed, but he came to the second whiskey social, and we got to open a bottle of whiskey from World War II
What?
when Winston Churchill was in office, right? So you get this little time capsule, and I get to have a drink with someone that has this legacy of just changing the world.
So there's some pretty expensive bottles of whiskey out there. What are some of the most expensive that you've seen, and then the most expensive one that you've actually tasted?
So I don't catalog all of them, but I'll give you an example. At the event, we're bringing in 4 different 40-year-old whiskeys. So 2 of them are 42 years old. One of them the other 2 are 40 years old. So you're tasting through $15,000 in whiskey. 40. I mean, that's combined 160 years of spirits right there.
Oh my God.
So it's just this crazy. I've tasted some expensive things, but it's really just I get more satisfaction out of the old timepieces, right?
Right.
The stuff. I mean, the bottle from 1965 really just had to me tracking down overseas. I had to find Sotheby's auction house or something and grab it, but and it wasn't that expensive. But it's something that you'll never get in Texas. It's something you'll never see in a bar or a liquor store here because of our laws. And you get to come and you get to taste this little time capsule. It's just so fun to me.
Right. Kris, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk with us. And I sincerely wish you the best on your radio show. We're going to take a short commercial break. And when we come back, we'll announce the winner of our pair of tickets for the Houston Whiskey Social. And also, we're going to be talking with our friends from Communities and Schools, the Bay Area, Peter and Hillary. So stay tuned. You still have time to enter. And don't go away. Hello, my friends. You and I have a date at 11 o'clock every single Wednesday, so you can tune in and watch my show, On Air with Pierre, where I interview local celebrities and the movers and shakers of the Bay Area, Houston. So be sure and tune in to On Air with Pierre, Wednesdays at 11 o'clock.